The Honourable Member for Newmarket, Aurora.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will be sharing my time with the member for Longueuil, Charles Lemoyne. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to rise today to participate in debate on this motion, but before I begin, I want to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional unceded Algonquin territory. When the pandemic first shattered our economy last spring, our government was there to support workers and their families. We created the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or the CERB, during a time in a pandemic when we were telling people to stay home in order to flatten the curve and to keep Canadians safe. We swiftly followed the CERB with the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, or the CESB, as we saw students struggling when their summer jobs and their training opportunities dried up. We created thousands of jobs and training opportunities for youth and ensured that not-for-profit sector received support so that these organizations could continue to help their communities. And to provide certainty and continuity, we recently extended the CERB by an additional 4 weeks from 24 to 28 weeks. And in addition to this extension, we made changes to the EI program so that more people could access benefits. And we are here today discussing measures that would create new benefits: the Canada Recovery Benefit, the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit, and the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit. But before diving into these new benefits, I'd like to say a few words about the Employment Insurance Program and the recent measures that were put in place to help Canadians. On August 20th, our government announced temporary changes to the EI program that will help millions of Canadians meet the eligibility requirements in 3 ways. First of these changes, people can qualify for EI with as few as 120 hours of work. And to do this, we're providing all EI claimants with a one-time credit of insurable hours. That is 300 hours of regular benefit claimants and 480 hours for special benefit claimants. Secondly, we're implementing that we are helping to meet EI eligibility requirements by setting a national unemployment rate of 13.1% across all regions of the country. This is providing a uniform requirement for 420 hours for people to qualify for EI. And I also want to assure Canadians in EI regions with a higher rate than 13.1% that you will keep the higher rate. The third measure we're undertaking with the EI system is to freeze the EI premium for 2 years, which will both help employees and employers. Our changes are allowing more Canadians to access employment insurance and its associated tools and resources. That being said, we understand that many workers may still not be eligible for EI, even with these changes. That is why our government is proposing to introduce a suite of 3 new benefits via the legislation that is before us now. The Canada Recovery Benefit will help those who are looking for work but do not qualify for EI. It will provide eligible Canadians with $500 per week for up to 26 weeks. And the eligibility period would run from September 27, 2020 to September 25, 2021. This benefit will be for the workers who have had to stop working due to COVID-19 or have had their income reduced by at least 50% relative to their pre-COVID-19 income. And additionally, as with EI, they must be actively looking for work. And just like the EI system, this new benefit will also allow people to earn an income from employment and/or self-employment while still receiving the benefit. The new Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit will prevent workers from having to choose between their health and paying their bills. It will provide $500 per week for up to 2 weeks if workers are ill or must self-isolate for reasons that are related to COVID-19. Finally, the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit would provide $500 per week per household for up to 26 weeks for a worker who needed to take unpaid leave to care for a loved one due to a school, daycare, or day program closure. The benefit would also be available to workers if someone needed supervised care and needed to stay home because they are deemed high risk by a health professional, or if their regular caregiver was not available because of COVID-19. The benefit would also support workers who cannot work for at least 50% because their child or family member is sick, in quarantine, or at high risk of serious health implications due to COVID-19. In order to ensure that federally regulated employees have access to job-protected leave, our government is moving forward with amendments to the Canada Labour Code so that employees can access the Canada Recovery Sickness and the Canada Recovery Caregiving Plan. As laid out in the throne speech, we have an opportunity to not just support Canadians, but to grow their potential. That means making historical investments in training and in working with provinces and territories to ensure that Canadians across the country have access to the tools and the skills training that they need to succeed. And as a first step, this bill continues with an investment of $1.5 billion to the provinces and the territories to support on-the-ground training services for Canadians. Mr. Speaker, we are making sure that we continue to support people who need it most because we are still in a crisis. I encourage the honourable members to support these benefits and to help provide that much-needed solid foundation for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.